Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to read you a bedtime story about the collapse of the Australian market. In all seriousness, though, a couple of days ago I put out a tweet about the Nikkei breaking major historical level, and we're going to take a look at it now, see what it looks like. It's clearly broken that level. Just zooming out, giving some perspective. We have to go all the way back to the weekly chart to really see the significance of this level. And the Nikkei, the Japanese market, has recovered very strong above pre-COVID levels and just shot to the upside. It's coming off, and it's coming off very strong. You might be wondering, why the hell do I care about the Japanese while I'm trading the ASX? Well, the Nikkei is probably the second biggest market in the world, and it has a direct influence on the ASX 200, which is our market. So taking a look at the daily, we have two breaks. We have one break and looking for a second break. We could argue this horizontal here is quite significant, and it's kind of on its way to breaking. So the Oz almost touched previous or pre-COVID highs, and what we're looking at really is a break. We want some sort of confirmation below 68.63 to really see a bearish trend on the ASX 200, and even then there's plenty of levels of support. We have a horizontal here as well, which kind of lines up with a trend line here. These are all sort of 2020 levels, but really it's just the start. And the question is there enough momentum to really kick this to the downside? There's obviously lots of places to bounce off here. There's a lot of support levels here that can hold it up. So really it comes down to the strength of the Nikkei, the strength of the US market as well. And before I bring up the US markets, let's have a look at the VIX index, which is the volatility index of the S&P 500. Usually every time there's a spike, there's usually a correlated sell-off that goes along with it. So if we bring up the US 30, which is the Dow Jones, we can see it's broken, just dipped below a major support level. Again, we're seeing slow grinds up, followed by pretty powerful selling. And look, this has been happening quite often. Strong selling every time. It's just grinding to the upside, followed by a huge sell-off. And of course, each sell-off is met with a bounce. Now the question here is, will this bounce and continue as well? There's a lot of upside momentum, and you can see it's just basically BTFD, just buy the fucking dip every single time it happens. So really, it's just about paying attention on the markets, not necessarily panicking that all things are just going to collapse and roll over. But really, if we look at the international markets, things are going to cool off a little bit. I think we've got the DAX here, which is the German index, also another powerful market. And let's take a look at just some other indicators. We've got the Australian VIX index as well. So there's a little bit going on there. It's starting to rise, nothing too significant. And then we have the NDX, which is the NASDAQ, and this has just been on an absolute fucking tear. So I haven't actually checked any kind of support levels or anything. I mean, it's just one big monstrous uptrend at the moment. But hell, even this needs to come off even just a little bit. I'm not expecting a full 2020 kind of smash to the downside or anything like that. But a bit more of a pullback would probably be expected. I don't think anyone here would disagree with that sentiment. Perhaps not so much the NASDAQ. Those IT companies really are performing. And you can see just a nice, just deep red day yesterday. Again, not the collapse of the markets, but definitely worth watching. Are these levels going to bounce, and are they going to hold? The Nikkei, would it put a drag on the rest of the global markets? I don't think so. I think it'll probably, a drag, yes, but I don't think it'll pull down the market. It might keep it in a bit of a sideways lull, bit of a down channel perhaps, until the Nikkei can find some level of support. And really, it's every up channel, every uptrend has just been broken on this at the moment for the Nikkei. So it looks really ugly. It's worth keeping an eye on. See what the impact is of the next couple of days. Really, the key levels here for the Oz is exactly where it bounced tonight, which is the 69.12 kind of horizontal. I don't expect that to hold. Perhaps come back down and retest this kind of level here at 6666. And like the devil himself, Demoniaco says, that's the bouncing target. at least a major one, I reckon, kind of lines up with this trend line here. And we'll see how it goes as well. Obviously, it takes time to sell off, so it might not be that horizontal as this support level might hold as well. Though arguably, I'd probably look at this and I'd go, that's less significant than the horizontal levels. So just something to watch out for. It's neither bullish nor bearish. It's just something to look out for. All right, guys, have a good night.